easier to work with.
Where do you want to do it from?
If I can find somewhere to sit around it.
Just sit right at the... Oh, I see. You need space?
Well, I need my laptop. Your laptop's nice.
There. And then the phone is the mic for this. Sorry about jingling it around, guys. Line's open.
Oh. So what's... Oh, I need to...
What do you need?
I'm not sharing anything.
Do you want to share?
I could. What do I...
So, it's easy enough to do. So just invite me the Dell Crowbar account to a call. Let me see. Actually, I can find you really fast. There we go. That's weird. Why is it trying to do this as a... Oh, damn it. Oh, sorry. Try again. Oh, I got it. There we go. Keeps unmuting. Let me, and then just share your screen.
Okay.
Oh, I got to mute also. There we go. Like the feedback loop. Okay, so I have to redial.
So... What's he doing? Does he share my screen or not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just not showing the... It's like it's not showing...
Like on multiple desktops?
Maybe. Might be on a different desktop. That's what I would suspect.
I'm going to put everything on the same desktop.
If you experience this at any time, please press star followed by 4.
Let's see.
While other participants join.
What do I got here?
That's weird. It's like we lost the whole bridge. No, it's sharing. That's okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
It looks like it's putting Skype in front of everything. I can do something about that. There we go.
Sweet. And I can make it bigger if I do this, but then I'm gonna have to scroll through.
Oh.
So it'll. Why don't we do it like that? There you go. You're fine.
Here. Zoom to it now.
So each one?
Sure. It's pretty good. Okay. So if you are, we're going to go ahead and work with the assumption that people are already familiar with Chef and some of the, the rationale for Crowbar using Chef, and and so once you have OpenStack up and running, which is the whole point of Crowbar, well in this context, is once it's up and running, you have another cloud API that you can use to create servers. So the command line tool for Chef is called Knife. And Knife is an API tool. It talks to our API. We can do things like, say, knife node list, and I can get a list of all the nodes that are currently available on my system. Oh, look at that. It's really refreshing fast.
Where do you want this screen to show?
Just right where it was fine. I mean, it's not refreshing.
It's just, oh, I see what ours should. Yeah. It's tunneling out to do this, unfortunately.
Okay. So Knife talks to the API for the Chef server. So I can do things like Knife node list, Knife cookbook list, Knife cookbook upload, cookbook delete, node create, delete, bootstrap, whatever I need to do with the Chef server. OpenStack, once it's up and running, has an API as well. And so we have a plugin for that called, conveniently enough, Knife OpenStack. There is now a wiki page. I gave a presentation last month on this. There's a wiki page describing how to get started with Knife OpenStack. If you go to the wikiopscode.com and search for OpenStack, you'll find one page that describes how to set up OpenStack. That's a little bit outdated because it's for Cactus. And you'll find this other page, OpenStack Bootstrap Fast Start Guide, that tells you how to get going with Knife OpenStack. Right now, the dependencies for Knife OpenStack, the patches to Fog, the Ruby library that we use to talk to the OpenStack API, they have not made it upstream completely. They're kind of in staging. And so you have to build it from source, which is going to scare some people. But the instructions are pretty straightforward, and hopefully you'll be able to follow, especially if you're already using Crowbar. You shouldn't be scared of building things from source. And what it allows you to do is take your Keystone-enabled OpenStack and run commands like Knife OpenStack server create. So if this was, is that refreshing at all? It's not refreshing at all.
Is it the same screen? Yeah, it is. It's just slow. Well, I have an internet connection problem.
Well,
sorry.
Ta-da! There's the output of the last time it ran. But what it does is, it talks to the OpenStack API, and using the SSH key pair that I've defined on the system, I can go and create new servers against that API. I can request a flavor of a particular size, an image, the operating system I want to use, and I can pass it a run list. So just like Crowbar is telling Chef, hey, turn these machines into OpenStack, turn this one into Nova Compute, this one into Nova API, Knife is going to then take the OpenStack that we've deployed and tell it, hey, I want you to create me servers on top of your virtualization layer that, look, it's
catching up.
It's slowly catching up. Now I want you to go and create servers on top of that OpenStack that I just deployed. So this means, good God. Am I off of everything?
The recording's still going.
Okay.
I don't know what to do in that case. This is a regular cell phone, so it's the solar flares. I'm convinced.
It's the rain.
Also, there's
My magnetic personality.
That's what.
So how much have you guys extended Fog at this point? We're doing something similar.
Who's we?
More.
Okay. My patches are off of Todd Wiley's stuff. Todd Wiley has commit to Fog Trunk, and he and Dan Prince are kind of the maintainers of the OpenStack stuff. My stuff's all on GitHub. Todd's supposed to be pulling. Do you have a patch about... Do you have like a pull request into Todd already?
You could.
Okay, somebody's got a big pull request for managing floating IPs. Not you? Okay. I'm about to pull that into my branch, and push that back up to Todd and say, hey, take this
If
too.
you're experiencing any issues or need assistance with anything, please press star followed by 0.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've
They
added.
completed font to work with OpenStack as well.
Are you guys using the EC2 or the OpenStack API?
OpenStack API.
Okay, because I switched everything off the EC2 to the OpenStack API. Yeah. Okay.
So I'll get guys opinion so we at least can
Because, I had to add a lot of stuff. And,
do some more work. Okay.
Yeah. And then I just finished doing the HP plugin, and they've got a fork of Fog as well.
Well, these things as well.
Well, theirs is, they've got a different provider. So, but I learned a lot of stuff about floating IPs while dealing with their API. So, am I back on the call?
Yes.
Okay. So, Knife OpenStack is going to talk to the API. Okay. So this is the command that I used to call the system. Let me bump that up a layer. You guys can all see it in a couple minutes. It'll refresh. So Knife OpenStack Server Create is telling the OpenStack API, I want you to go and create an instance for me. -F is our flavor. If I say Knife OpenStack flavor list, I'll get a list of all the flavors. And in this case, I think I'm using TriStack, the demo cloud setup. TriStack has 5 flavors. I'm using 1, which is the M1 small equivalent. -I, capital I, is the image type. TriStack only has Natty and Oniric images on it. The Rackspace Cloud Builders demo setup has about 20 different instances. And so depending on which cloud you're going against, you're going to have different values for -I, depending on what kind of instances you want people to run. -S is the SSH key pair that you're going to use. Within the dashboard, you can create yourself a key pair. This is your public key, telling the OpenStack server, go and inject my public key onto my private key onto that box, and I'll be able to SSH into it once I'm created. -I is me telling Knife I need to SSH into that box, because I'm going to install the Chef agent on that box, and I'm going to run code on it. So I'm using -N is I'm naming that box. That's a bug that I have yet to fix. The OpenStack API doesn't automatically generate names for machines that it creates. I'm going to just make some up. HP's implementation does name servers. Rackspace's does not. Or Rackspace's does, but it gives them numbers for names. Amazon gives them 2 names. So everyone has some sort of random naming scheme for their server APIs. So for now, you have to write your own, but that's like 3 lines of code to add to the plugin. -X is the user I'm going to run my command as. In this case, Ubuntu, because I'm hitting Ubuntu boxes and they don't have root. And then -R is the run list that I want to run on these boxes. I'm passing it two things for the run list. This is a Chef thing, so I'm saying I want you to run the Annoyances Cookbook, and that's going to run just a couple of little tweaks to the underlying operating system, and then I want you to install a base role. If you're already using Chef, you're comfortable with the idea of roles. My base role is just it's installing sudo, putting my SSH keys on the box so I can SSH in as Imray, setting up NTP, and setting up the Chef client to run every 30 minutes as a daemon. And then -D is the bootstrap that I'm going to use. So in this case, I'm using the Omnibus, which is the new full stack installer for clients for Chef. It's currently in beta. It should be out of beta in a couple weeks. But the nice thing about the Omnibus installer is it gives you the exact same version of Chef on every operating system, and it doesn't intrude on any of the operating system. It doesn't have any dependencies on the operating system. So it installs everything into opt ops code, or on Windows into C ops code. And so you have the exact same chef experience on every operating system. And the nice thing is, your cookbooks, your chef experience will be the same on Windows, on Open Solaris, on FreeBSD, on Gentoo, on Debian, Ubuntu, CentOS. That's the pitch for it, and it's all open source, of course. And eventually, it will be coming. There will be a full stack installer for the server, and Crowbar will get to use that, and it will make the Crowbar footprint even smaller by not having to have a bunch of dependencies on there. So that is Knife OpenStack, and Knife OpenStack hits up that API, gives me a new server, and so when I say Knife server, Knife OpenStack server list, I'll get a list of all the machines that I've deployed on this instance. If I say Knife node list, I have all my nodes that are managed with Chef. I can SSH into them. I can change the run list. Just like Crowbar's doing to the hardware, we're doing this to virtual instances on top of our OpenStack deployment. All this code is already out there. You can go build it yourself. If you're running, this is tested with Diablo. I was hoping to get to some Essex stuff soon. But, this is just continuing the whole Chef experience. And, we're using Chef to put up OpenStack to put up, and using Chef to put, nodes on top of our OpenStack. So, yo dog.
You don't need two different servers, just the one.
Yeah, you can reuse the open source Chef server that's embedded inside of Crowbar.
And I'll do a special video with Matt. We'll walk somebody through that step by step so you can get that experience.
So what are you doing to abstract package names between distros OSs?
Chef does that.
Chef does that, so it knows Apache 2 for Ubuntu.
No, if you have the package resource would say something like package Apache 2, and then if they have different names on different operating systems, you would say case platform equals
Right. Okay. So
yeah,
you would do it.
but the Apache cookbook has already incorporated all that. So there's a lot of cookbooks that you just grab off the shelf that have that logic built in.
And this is actually one of the things that we're not going to have time for today, but is embedded in the bar clamps is OS detection. If you look at the core bar clamps, you'll see we do the same thing for our OS detection for our core.
And so the bar clamps are just wrapping Chef cookbooks, and a lot of those cookbooks already have that logic built into them. Cool. And so as the upstream cookbooks continue to mature, we'll make sure those updated versions get into the bar clamps. Right. Somehow we'll automate that. And
We need to do that.
yeah, because somebody mentioned like the apt cookbook, doing apt-get update every time. Well, it doesn't do that anymore. It's been fixed. That would be another nice Crowbar improvement. Is somehow syncing with published cookbooks better, using the full stack installers, because then switching between RHEL and Ubuntu and Debian and whatever else becomes even easier. Mm-hmm. But that's there. The Chef server. You guys are using 10.6? 10.8?
10.8.
Yeah, 10.8.
Well, 10.8 on Ubuntu wishes and 10.6 on Raw wishes.
Yeah. Well, the only difference is a Windows patch. So,
Right.
yeah, it's the same difference. So I think that's about it. As far as OpenStack itself goes, the cookbooks, there are a lot of other people working on cookbooks for OpenStack. So it's getting good cross-pollination because we can see how other people are deploying, different databases, different hypervisors. The TriStack cookbooks. The TriStack cookbooks are on GitHub. So in a couple minutes you'll see.
There we go.
That's
Came
a
up
different
eventually.
It's getting there. The TriStack cookbooks are on GitHub. So if you wanted to, instead of using KVM, use Zen, that's what they're on. If you don't want to use MySQL, you want to use Postgres, that's what they're on. You can just see how the wiring is slightly different between different OpenStack deployments. I'm sure their cookbook, I haven't gone down into their cookbook deployments too much, but I'm sure they have completely different recipe names. so things don't map apples to oranges. But once you're somewhat familiar with deploying OpenStack, you can be like, oh, they're setting up compute. There's only 8 things you do for setting up compute.
And one of the things that I'd do is I would like to invite people from the community to help do some of those merges.
Yeah.
We definitely want to see these things surface inside of the cookbooks and recipes that we're using. Rationalizing all of them is going to be tricky.
Yes. Rationalizing all of them will be tricky, but if anyone has questions about where to find things, if you want to get Crowbar to support a different hypervisor, a different database, something that's not in there, ping me, because I try to know as much about OpenStack and Chef as I can, because that's my job. So that's Matt at OpsCode.
Cool. All right.